And lo and behold, he's now part of a tentpole of the NFL Network, which is Game Day, which is Good Morning Football every single day on NFL Network at 7 a.m. And he's also on CBS, the NFL Today against Game Day morning on Sunday. So I'm sorry. That's just unfortunately we have to promote Nate Burleson here on the show. How are you, Nate?
I'm good, Rich. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Not better than you, though, man. I'm very happy for you and everything that you've become, Nate.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, man, coming in 2003, as we all know, the very infancy stages of the NFL Network, watching guys like you and busting your butt, you kind of look up to certain guys in the industry, man, and you're one of the titans. So you lead the way, and guys like us follow.
Nate, you're the man. Let's get into it here. My buddy Brockman and I, we're just going at it here. I'm not going to reveal what we were going at. I'm just going to throw it out right now. Name the top 5 offenses in the NFL that you would want to win. Hold on a second. That you would want to win a game with right now in the month of December, and think that they have years of success ahead of them. Top 5.
Ooh, that last part of the sentence really throws you off a little bit. I'm going with the Saints. You got to respect the fact that they're dominating, and then we'll follow that up by the Rams and the Chiefs.
Yep.
After that,
this
is where it gets tricky. I'm going the New England Patriots. And then following right afterwards, it's a toss-up between the Minnesota Vikings, Steelers, and the Bears, but I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay now. Why the Vikings, Nate? Why the Vikings? Would you throw them in there?
Well, I'm looking at the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins has proved to be worth every single dime they paid him. And that was one of my biggest concerns is there's no way a guy who just came off of 2 franchise tags making $24 million apiece, and then he signs close to $90 million guaranteed, that he can fulfill expectations with a team that was a game away from winning the Super Bowl. But then that game that he had up against Aaron Rodgers wasn't perfect by any means, but there's certain throws that he made that just showed me that he can take this offense and elevate them. You look at the play of Adam Thielen. Not that he wasn't balling last year, but it's a different level connection that he has with Kirk Cousins. And Stephon Diggs is still playing at a phenomenal rate. It seems like the mini miracle was just an appetizer to what he's been feeding us. And then the surrounding pieces. Rudolph is a great red zone target. Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook is looking like himself again. It's going to be a true test, of course, going up against the Patriots. And I feel like if Kirk Cousins can go pull this off, this is the second time playing Tom Brady, I believe. Last time was 2015. With the Washington Redskins, but this is definitely a true test. So we'll see what happens this weekend.
See, now I will reveal the reason why I asked, because I wanted you to agree with me, which you did not, Nate. Is I would throw the Bears in there. I think the Bears are a top 5 offense. Jordan Howard has disappeared because he just doesn't fit the speed that's required in this offense right now. He suddenly is a guy that doesn't fit in a way. Obviously, needing to win some games in December, using him will come in handy. And he might be the old Jordan Howard eventually for some of those games. But right now, I think that they are dynamite and real fast and as good almost as everybody else in the league, Nate.
Yeah, there's a reason why I brought them up. I'm waiting. I'm hesitant. And you know what? To be honest, I think it's unfair for there to be a but when talking about the Chicago Bears. Matt Nagy in his system, you look what Alex Smith did in that system in Kansas City, and then him going to Chicago, he brought in the pieces that mimic that offense. He has the speedy Taylor Gabriel, which is like his Tyreek Hill. He has the tight end player Trey Burton. He has a host of wide receivers and guys making plays at different levels. And, of course, the 1-2 combination of Cohen and Howard, just like you're talking about. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for them to – I don't want to say prove me wrong, because I do believe in that offense. And I do feel like with what Mitchell Trubisky brought to the table, it proves that an athletic guy behind center can really be productive in that offense. But Chase Daniel, I mean, going out there up against my Lions and throwing 2 TDs and 0 interceptions, like that proves right there that offensive system, that scheme that Matt Nagy is bringing to the table, is just as good as anybody in the league. So the last part of your question was for years to come.
Yep.
Now, if I consider that part of the question more than the beginning, then yes, the Bears at the top of the list because they're so young and all those guys are on very cheap deals.
Yeah, I was about to say, Nate Burleson, that you mispronounced the name Trubisky as yeah, but. I think it's pronounced Trubisky, not yeah, but, Nate. That's the yeah, but, right?
That's the ultimate, yeah. But you know what we do know about Mitchell Trubisky is they can win games even when he's not perfect. And you know, I made this point on the show is that, you know, what we can't appreciate about Chase Daniel is he went out there and he won a game without throwing a pick. We've seen Trubisky throw interception and still the combination of that fantastic offense and that defense making plays still got those guys the dub.
Nate Burleson, NFL Network, CBS, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So who is your Super Bowl prediction? And have you changed it at any point in time on all your platforms, Nate?
Yeah, actually, I have changed it quite a bit. Initially, I went Los Angeles and the Chargers, and I went that Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers.
I was about to say, you just,
LA.
I mean, okay. Yeah, they're both.
Yeah,
okay.
LA West Coast Super Bowl. And, you know, I'm really not going to pull away from that one too much because the Chargers are still one of those teams. Bosa's getting back. Melvin Gordon going down, it hurts a ton because I feel like he should be mentioned up there with Todd Gurley. But Phillip Rivers, I mean, we just saw what he did that last game. He's playing at a high level. It seems like all these OGs of the game are showing the young pups how to do it. But with that said, it's hard for me not to look at the Patriots and believe that they're going to be in the AFC title game. Also, the Chiefs. I mean, they're just so damn good. And I do believe that Pat Mahomes is our MVP. I mean, as good as Drew Brees is playing, if Pat Mahomes keeps up this hot streak that he's on, I believe he is going to be our MVP. So,
No,
I mean, in a very long-winded way, I would say the Rams for sure, no question. I do have the Rams coming out of the NFC. I do believe they're going to make it past the Saints, and from there, it's between the Chiefs and the Pats.
I know. I mean, Breeze, though, in terms of MVP, Nate, I mean, come on. He's just a GOAT, and this is not a Lifetime Achievement Award either because he hasn't won it before. But what he's doing this year is off the charts. He is throwing it in windows the size of a piece of paper to people that he's probably never thrown to more than a handful of times in practice. It's crazy what he's doing right now.
No, he is. He's playing at a high level. And, you know, it's funny because last year or a couple years ago, we complimented Matt Ryan on that offense, saying, he hit 13 different guys, NFL record. The way that they spread the ball around is unheard of. And Drew Brees, he hit 13 different guys for touchdowns, which tied him for that NFL record. And I'm pretty sure that they're dialing up something special. Peter Schrager said on the show, he's like, they got Taysom Hill still.
Well, they also have Brandon Marshall, too. I mean, those are the two that he's probably going to find at some point.
He's going to dial it up. The Teddy Bridgewater, Ramczyk, whatever it is, whoever it is, guys are going to come off the bench and catch it. You know, Sean Payton is dialing up for sure because he wants to get another one in the record book for his quarterback. But I do feel like there is a sentiment, though, that it is, he hasn't won it. I mean, come on now. It is Drew Brees. And what are you going to tell me? If Pat Mahomes goes out there and they don't lose another game and he throws for 50 touchdowns, in an unbelievable year, which is really, I know he's a second-year player, but really his rookie campaign, you're not going to give it to Pat Mahomes because Drew Brees is a legend and he was the second best production-wise. Listen, I am a Drew Brees guy. I think Drew Brees has heard me say 1,000 times, there's only a handful of quarterbacks I wish I played with. He's at the top of the list. But Pat Mahomes is playing out of his mind. And at first it seemed like it was this passing fad. You know what? That's that young college, the running gun offense, and that stuff's not going to last. It's very gimmicky. Guess what? Some gimmicks last a long time, and this one is lasting throughout the season. And I can't wait for them to pick up after their bye.
Yeah, well, let me just continue this conversation. I'm enjoying it. Nate Burleson here on the Rich Eisen Show. Drew Brees has as many interceptions on the season right now, Nate, as Pat Mahomes had in his last two possessions of the last game he played. And he's got 29 touchdowns and 3,100 yards to boot. And let me get this one right here. Hold on a minute. The completion percentage is positively absurd. It's 76.4%. So tonight, he could hit on 3/4 of his passes, and that rate goes down. It's insane what he is doing at his age as well. This has nothing to do with like Scorsese winning for The Departed. This has nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't gotten awards before.
No.
And we're not even talking about luck either right now, which is kind of nuts as well.
Yeah, he's definitely the dark horse. I mean, I believe he's at 32 touchdowns on the season. But here's the thing. You're hitting it on the money. I mean, Drew Brees is playing lights out. His completion percentage is probably better than most of the guys shooting from free throw in the NBA. And the connection that he has with Michael Thomas is unbelievable. We haven't even mentioned that relationship, which is going to go down as a record-breaking wide receiver from quarterback catch ratio. But with all that said, touchdowns reign supreme and wins reign supreme. So if both teams went out and Pat Mahomes is tap dancing around 50 touchdowns and he catches a heater and throws for 5-6 TDs, which really isn't that hard to do for Pat Mahomes and that Kansas City offense, you have to give it to the young pup because, and here's the other side of the coin, which is it's a kind of backhanded compliment to Drew Brees. We expect this from Drew Brees. I don't think people expected this from Pat Mahomes in Kansas City.
We expect it from him. I mean, you're right. I guess we do.
Versus Pat Mahomes. Come on now. I don't think anybody was going to call this type of season for Pat Mahomes.
That's true. Man, this is so much fun. It really is. Before I let you go, I want to hit you on the topics du jour in the NFL. And that's first up is the Baker Mayfield extended handshake, non-bro hug dap for Hugh, and him being very vocal of what I think he is voicing on behalf of every last one of his teammates, that Hugh was a little bit fugazi. I'm wondering what you think of Baker's comments and all of that.
I love it. I love every second of it, and it's not a shot at Hugh Jackson. A lot of guys that I played with play for Hugh, and they love him. I see him from a distance. I see him out in the offseason. I'll dap him up, ask him how he's doing. But when it comes to Hugh Jackson and how he left the Browns, I mean, there's some things that he said in the media when he did his media tour, and it was a little bit of a shift to blame and saying, they passed up on Watson and passed up on Mahomes, and, I was dealing with second-rate wide receivers and yada, yada, yada. So if Baker Mayfield is hearing that, and he's a starting quarterback for a team that was playing for Hugh Jackson, and I know how coaches coach young players and rookies. He was probably walking in and talking about what the league is about and what rivalries are about and things that he probably said about the Bengals and saying you got to ride or die for these colors. And Baker saying, okay, cool, I got you. We all know Baker wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he says what's on his mind. He plays with every ounce of passion he has. So he takes things literally. And I'm okay with guys taking things literally because most of the guys that you see on TV, they might not necessarily care about the game as much as you care about. So fans are sitting back saying, you know what, I don't like the way Baker's handling it. He should take the high road. Why? The moment you have a guy that's not passionate, the moment you have a guy that's there to collect the check, go take his fancy car, go right up in the suburb, that's the moment you say, he doesn't care. He doesn't care like I care. The moment you do get a guy that cares about it, then we want to complain. You can't have it both ways. I love the fact that the viewpoint from Baker Mayfield is the same viewpoint he has for Hugh Jackson, the same he has for players. Like, if you have a player going to an opposite team or a player playing for the Bengals, you're not going to be his buddy. You're not going to go over there, dap him up, and give him a hug after the game. You're going to be in your feelings. I think Baker saw him as the opposition, and I think having that kind of mindset is okay. Like, being that Baker Mayfield saw Hugh Jackson take a job, it wasn't that he took a job with the Bengals. I truly don't believe that. I think it was just the fact that he's now wearing a different logo on his shirt. And Baker Mayfield doesn't see him as family. And I'm okay. I'd rather have Baker do that and wear his emotions on his sleeve and say, he's not family anymore. Like, that right there is a passionate quarterback, man.
So you don't mind that that's the way I feel when I see you on CBS every Sunday morning against NFL Game Day morning, Nate, right?
Yeah, I know, man. That's why I originally wasn't going to take the job, because I was like, you know what, Rich is my guy.
No. You do your career the way you need for you and your family, Nate. You've crushed it. You're killing it. But see, then when I was deciding on taking the job or not, I was looking at my bracelet that I wear all the time, and it's WWRD. And it's what would Rich do? And I thought, okay, Rich is going to go get this money. It's okay. Money. Yeah. So when you come off the set at Good Morning Football, if I'm there, I'm giving you the whole hug. But if I see you coming off the set of CBS, I'm giving you the extended handshake, and you can only give me the helmet tap. That's it. That's the way we're working.
You're going to hit me with the Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, is that okay? I'm just letting you know. I mean, that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm okay with it.
Okay, just understand where I'm coming from. Although I consider you family in either way, Nate. I mean, and so what is your thought on the other hot button topic, which is Big Ben after throwing the game-sealing interception, pointing out various aspects about the scheme that led to it and the play itself and where Antonio Brown was running, and then saying this afterwards.
Well, being around for a long time, dealing with a lot of different players, you have to know how to motivate different guys in different ways, and I think that's part of being a leader, being a captain. Sometimes you just grab them off to the side, and sometimes you have to be honest with them. I think that I've earned the right to be able to do that with as long as I've been here, and I'll be just as critical on myself as well in front of you guys as well.
What do you think, Nate?
Big Ben, he does a good job of answering the question without answering the question. And he says a lot of things that throws me off. Now, I know initially Big Ben came out and said, I'm a gunslinger and I'm going to let it go, and sometimes you got to take some risk. Not really, though. You know, Big Ben has to take care of the ball. And I feel like within that offense, they have to throw the ball a lot less. You know, it isn't about the interceptions, because if you look at his Super Bowl wins in the Super Bowl seasons, he threw some interceptions in those seasons, so you can't really relate that. But I will tell you this. I was looking up this stat. Big Ben leads the NFL in attempts, and there's never been a quarterback to win a Super Bowl that has led the NFL in attempts. So there's something about having a significant balance in your offense. I know as much as we praise James Conner, and I praised him, and I said he's a better fit for this offense, he brings better balance to this offense, maybe he doesn't bring the same balance, because when Le'Veon was on the field, Big Ben didn't need to lead the league in attempts. So if he scales back on throwing the ball so much, then they can control the narrative of the game, which is not turning over the ball in costly moments. But, you know, Big Ben is always going to handle it the way he handles it. He's not the guy to step up and say, blame me first, that's all I'm going to say. It's always extra when he is talking about the game.
Nate, we always say he talks, it's one sentence too many when he has a soundbite. It's just like that one, like he needs to be like Costanza, know when to leave, you know.
It's that run-on sentence that we learned about when we were in elementary school.
That's right. It's no doubt about it. And one thing that maybe you can front load for the Good Morning Football rundowns next week, to your point, needing to run the football more, absolutely. And James Conner, the last 2 weeks, has not looked like James Conner from the first 2 months of the season. And we are one poor rushing performance away from the conversation on shows like this one and the shows like Good Morning Football of, are the Steelers better off without Le'Veon Bell after all? That's coming, potentially. That's right there.
They have just cut the check, right?
That's right there in front of us. James Conner has every chance to remove that from future rundowns on our shows, but that's right there. I'm just front loading the conversation.
No question.
Nate, really enjoyed the chat here, and I'll tell you right now what I told Peter when I saw him in London, Peter Schrager, what you guys, you and Kay Adams and Kyle Brandt and the whole crew, the production crew, on Good Morning Football, for somebody who was there from day one of the NFL Network, to see a show create out of whole cloth something like you guys have created and become so popular and a mainstay for not only the NFL Network but for sports television is just awesome to see. So keep going.
I appreciate that, man, Rich. I appreciate you and everything that you stand for, of course, being one of the founding fathers of the network, man. So I'll see you when I get to L.A.
You bet.
And we'll cross paths before then at the Super Bowl, I'm sure.
And then we'll hug it out. And then at the Super Bowl on CBS, we'll just handshake. Is that okay?
All right, that works.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Great to see you, Nate. That's Nate Burleson.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.